Hello everyone, I hope you are well. I'm doing another Is This Book Worth the Money video. So I've only ever done one of these videos before. I will put the link for that down below, and that got over 17,000 views. So I've decided to do another one. I have a lot of great book editions that I want to do this series on. So if you haven't seen the first video, I'll tell you what it is. It's basically when I talk about a book that I have in my collection that is an expensive edition, and I give you a review of it and tell you if I actually think it's worth the money that's being charged for it. Because a huge thing in the industry, I made the first video I think about a year ago, and it's still a huge thing now, is to bring out classics in really beautiful editions that are like collectible editions, and you can buy all the works of Jane Austen in this gorgeous edition, and they're going to last you a lifetime, and you can pass them down to your children, and they're these indestructible amazing books, and that's why they are so much more money than if you bought a paperback version of the same classic book. So the first one I did was on the Penguin cloth-bound classics, so that video is linked down below. Today I'm going to do one on Everyman Library. So Everyman's Library is a old publishing house, but they do loads of different editions, and they are cloth bound, so they give the idea that it feels very old, it feels very luxurious because they are cloth bound. I actually have two separate like editions that they do in things, because they have different collections is what I'm looking for, collections of books. So they've got the children's collections, and then they've got the poetry, the pocket poetry collections. So I'm going to be giving you my honest review on these editions, and if I think they are worth the money, worth you shelling out that, or if there's a better version out there. So I'm going to start with the children's one. This is children's classics. They do loads of children's classics, and this one that I got is actually, I got it secondhand from a charity shop, and this is Rudyard Kipling's Just So Stories, and it's beautiful. I love the font size. Obviously it's for children, so it's bigger font. I really love the font size. I just think it's a gorgeous edition. I love the spine on it. I can't give this the most honest review because I got it secondhand, and it was in the state it is now when I got it secondhand. So obviously it's been bashed about by a child, has thrown it about. You can see that the foiling has rubbed off, but because I didn't get it brand new, I can't say how quickly that took to rub off like that. I love the spines on these editions. They all have similar spines to this, and they look gorgeous together. I love the purple. I love all the pictures within this. I think it's just stunning. I love the covers on this. I love that there is a picture on the cover. It's not just a print of something inspired by the book. I love the gold detail. I just think it's a gorgeous edition. It was really gorgeous reading this edition, but since I have had it and I have read this a few times, there is no more damage to it, so I haven't caused any damage. So by reading it, none of this came off while I was doing it, but this is a second-hand edition. But I don't know how many people this might have been in 5 different homes with 5 different quite boisterous children. I don't know, but I personally love the layout of this book. I think it's gorgeous. I love the beginning pages. They are so stunning, and I love in children's books when it lets you write your name. So this book belongs to, and then you'll write your name in it. I think that's just a lovely little touch to put in it, and it was just a really gorgeous, well laid out book. Really great font size for children. Really loved this. So the second one is one that I actually got brand new, so I can tell you about, and I have picked this up a lot over the years. So I must have had this for about 4 years now. I have picked it up a lot, read it a lot, and this is the poetry collection. This is Everyman's Library Pocket Poets. They do loads of different collections. They do books that you can get, and it's just one person's collection, so it might be Shakespeare, it might be Keats, and then they do these compilation ones that I really like, and this one is French poetry, and none of the golding on it has rubbed off at all, and I have picked this up for years. I have even taken this when I have travelled. When I travelled up to London, I threw this in my bag. When I lived in Birmingham, I took it from Essex to Birmingham and would throw it in my bag. It would be in my handbag, and it doesn't have any marks on it. At the back cover, I can see there's a little bit of a mark on it where something has obviously caused that, which I don't know. But the gold detail on it, none of it has come off. It is in absolutely perfect condition, like when I bought it. This actually had a dust jacket over the top, but I didn't like the dust jacket. I'll put up the picture of it. I didn't like that dust jacket. I much prefer it just with the golding detail, so I took the dust jacket off. and I love it. The bookmark, however, has frayed, and I did buy this brand new. Now, this was a contentious subject on my first Worth the Books video, because so many people were annoyed that I mentioned that the fraying of the bookmark, they were like, Hannah, you can with a lighter singe it, you can put glue on it, like, does it matter that it's frayed? And people were really upset that I mentioned that it was frayed. But I'm going to be honest in this review, it's frayed. It has fraying on it. If that's not an issue for you, if you don't mind that it's frayed a little bit, then that's fine. For me, it's not a massive issue because it's not massively frayed, the bookmark, so I don't mind that it's frayed a bit. But I'm just mentioning it's frayed, but I know there's like a million little hacks that you can do to stop it fraying and everything. I'm just mentioning it is frayed. I really like the font size on this and the layout. So per page there is a poem. I think the font size is really great. It's not tiny ant format, and I love it. And then when the poems are longer and they go over to several pages, they won't have two poems on the same page. They will just have like a gap on the page, and then it will go straight to the next poem, which I really like. I really love how when you open it up, the beginning of it, it looks like a classic book. And when it says French poetry from medieval to modern times, I love the whole layout of that. I think that's so pretty, so beautiful. And something that does have like a keepsake quality to it. I think this would be a really lovely gift. I think it's actually a very romantic gift. If you give someone like a little book of poetry, if you know that they're into reading, it's a really romantic book to be like, oh, some French poetry. We can't go to France at the moment because maybe we can't afford it, or like everything that's going on in the world and everything, but I'm gonna take you to France in this book. Ew, is that cringe? Is that like corny? Whether it's cringe or not, I do think they're gorgeous gifts. And if you know someone is into a certain poet, so say they're into Shelley's poetry, then you could get them one of these and it'd be such a gorgeous keepsake book. And they really last. Like, I've had this for years. I maybe haven't treated it the best because I've thrown it in books. I've moved to different places with it, travelled with it without its dust jacket on, because as soon as I got it, I took the dust jacket off. I just didn't really like it. And I like that it's sturdy, it's held together. I've read poems over and over again and the pages haven't come out of it. And this is such simple things, but I feel like you have to state it, because in so many books that you buy, they're just not well made, some of them, and they don't justify the price. And that's why I started this whole series, to actually show you books that justify the price. So I didn't want every book video to be like, oh, I don't think this was worth it, I don't think that was worth it. I did want to actually highlight books that are worth it, and these two books I do think are worth it. These are the only Everyman collections that I have, so the children's collection and the poetry collection. I of course can't say anything on the classic collection because I know they do pocket classic collection. I can't talk about those novels and if the pages rub off or the font size or anything to do with that, but in these two collections I think they are really worth the money, and they're beautiful keepsakes and they have the look of an antique book. So if you can't find an antique book, maybe of your favourite poetry collection, but you want that same look, then I would definitely say get the poetry collection, because it's gorgeous and it's not going to fall apart and none of it's rubbing off, none of the foiling's rubbing off. The bookmark is a bit frayed but not massively split and frayed like I have in other book editions, and it's just gorgeous. Also, even the quality of the paper, it feels thicker than normal paper. It just has a really lovely quality to it and it's gorgeously laid out, and I think it's stunning. So I would highly recommend all of the Everyman's editions, the children's ones and the pocket poetry ones. Tell me if you have any other editions that I haven't mentioned of Everyman ones, and give me your review. Do you agree with this review, or are you like, no Hannah, my edition, this is what's gone wrong with it? Let me know. Also let me know what editions you want me to talk about next. I think next I'm going to talk about the classics, Barnes and Noble leather bound looking editions, because I do have an edition of that. I have Frankenstein. So tell me any other book editions that you would like me to review in this series. But for me, Everyman is worth the money and I haven't had any issues with them, and I have read both the books that I have from them. So I'm going to end this video here. I hope you have enjoyed it and I will see you again soon for another video.